guys, it's Claire. Welcome to the second tutorial for the Johanna Basford Enchanted Forest piece that we've been doing. You can see where we got to after yesterday's first tutorial, where we did the light coming from the door and the moon, and then some of the grass at the front. I just wanted to quickly take you through what I've done since, because today we're going to be looking at these mushrooms and toadstools here. But I've done a little bit of prep work and I just wanted to quickly run you through what I've done. So you can see I've done these little blades of grass all the way along here, and they are just block coloured in gel pen, in green gel pen. I've chosen to use glitter green gel pen just because the effect looks nicer. What you can see is I've used 3 different shades, so I've got a light, a mid and a dark green pen, and what I've tried to do is follow light sources again. So where I've got light coming from this window and the light coming from the door, you can see that I've used my lightest green pen, and then as we get further, slightly further away from the light, I've used my mid green pen, and then where there would be deep shadows I've used dark green, and the same over this side. I've also, while I had my green gel pens out, I also did this little critter here. Same principle, we've got a light source here which is the lantern, so I wanted him to be in green, so I've given him a light green head, and then as his body gets further away from the light, I've just gone to mid green and then dark green, and I've just coloured his little tail and his legs in, just in black fine liner. I've done the same with the little caterpillar on this toadstool, so he's got a lighter green head, and then the rest of his body is in dark green because it's further away from this light source here. And then the only other thing that I wanted to show you before we start today is that I've just taken a light and a dark brown glitter gel pen and just block coloured in these little knots. As I say, it's just block colour. We will be blending this tree stump as we go through the tutorials, but these just pick up really nice as glitter highlights, and you can just block colour those in. So what you can see is we're going to do these mushrooms and toadstools today. I've pre-coloured some in just to show you what we'll be doing. So these are the colours we'll be using for these mushrooms here, and you can see that I've done the little toadstool here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, because I'm going to be blending, we're going to do the toadstool first, and because I'm going to be blending from this side to this side, bearing in mind we're taking into account 2 light sources today. So we've got 1 light source here and we've got 1 light source there. They're the 2 nearest to these toadstools. So the light is coming from this direction. And you can see with the one that I've pre-coloured, clearly toadstools are red, but where they hit light, they become yellow and orange. So I've put the highlights on this side because the light is coming in that direction. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be blending from yellow to red across here. So I'm actually going to turn my page around because it's easier for me to do that. So I'm going to turn my page around like that. And then you should be able to see better what I'm doing. And I'm just wondering if I should zoom in just that tiny little bit for you. Like that. And then you'll probably be able to see better what I'm doing. So, as I say, we're going to do this toadstool first, and then I'll show you how to do the stalk. But let's concentrate on the colours across here. I've got them laid out in my tray, my PrismaColour pencils. I've got them pre-laid out in the colour order that I want to use them in. Again, I will write these down for you on the tutorial descriptions, but just quickly, and believe it or not, there's well over 10 shades here. I've got lemon yellow, canary yellow, sunburst yellow, Spanish orange, yellowed orange, orange, pale vermilion, poppy red, permanent red, scarlet lake, crimson red, crimson lake, and if we have enough room by the time we get over here, I'm going to use a pomegranate colour. I've also got my white gel pen handy, because these dots here, as you kind of go through, you'll see you'll tend to kind of go over these dots a little bit, but don't worry about that because right at the end we'll brighten them up with a little bit of white gel pen like I've done here. So let's get started. So I'm going to take my first 2 colours, which are lemon yellow and canary yellow. So I've got lemon yellow first, which is the lighter of the 2, and we're just going to blend. So basic blending, but on a very small scale. So as we've done before, I'm just going to lightly mark myself out a line there in my lemon yellow, and then everything in this piece gets a firmer hand. Easy as that. Then I take my canary yellow, and I'm going to make myself another little band there. And remember, we're highlighting on this side because this is where the light's coming from. I'm going to lightly go over that edge of the lemon yellow, and then everything in between gets a firmer hand. Dead easy. Go back to the lemon yellow and just grade out. Grade out that blend mark there. Okay, lemon yellow could go back in the box. Then we're going to take the sunburst yellow again. Mark myself out a little line, and I say you can go around these little white spots on the toadstool, but don't be too frightened because we will cover them over at the end, as I say, with the white gel pen. So lightly, lightly for those two bands, firm it in between. And it really is as easy as that, and as long as you've got your colours in order and you know which colours you want to use and you understand where the light is coming from, it really is pretty easy. It's not rocket science. As I say, I don't have any art qualifications. I'm just kind of self-taught. I've only been colouring 3 years, and really, honestly, if I can do it, you all can. I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm putting my canary yellow down. I'm going to my fourth colour, which is Spanish orange. Again, just making a little light band, like that. And I do have my blender pencil ready, and you can blend as much as you want with that, as well as with your colouring pencils. But because I've arranged the colours in such a way that the families are very close together as I go through, and you'll see that this is a colour set that I've used quite a few times in the tutorials we've already had. It's one of my favourite sets. I use this particular set of colours I use for sunsets. It's just a really nice family, and they blend really well together. But please, if you wanted to use your blender pencil, by all means blend till your heart's content. This is yellowed orange. 2 light bands. And you can see I've gone over those little dots there, but I'm not too concerned. Firm it in the middle. And to be honest, it's better to go over them a little bit and blend well, and then cover over with the white gel pen than it is trying to avoid them all together and not getting as good a blend. So back to my Spanish orange and just covering that over a little bit, like that. Okay, then I'm going to go to my pure orange colour. Like that. Light bands. Everything in the middle a little bit harder. And there are quite a few techniques to blend in, but I find this light and firm touch, for me personally, just gives you a really nice effect for not that much effort and not that much practice, to be fair. Okay, so I'm going to the first of my more red colours, which is pale vermilion. Light touch band, just marking myself out where I want that colour to go to. And then lightly going over the edge of that orange colour that was previous. And you can now probably start to see that it starts to look like a toadstool. You've just got to have a little bit of faith that your colours are going to work. And they will, I promise. So I'm going back to my orange, and I'm just going to blend out, pressing quite firmly, just blend out that line. Then I'm going to poppy red. Mark myself out a little band in between these dots. Going lightly over this line. Firm it in between. Just going back to my poppy red. Sorry, pale vermilion. Sorry, back to my pale vermilion. Just blending that in. I've just gone over a tiny little bit, just gone over a tiny little bit there with the red. So I've got my Tombow mono eraser with the fine head. I'm just going to rub that away like that. My next red is permanent red. Nice deep colour. Let's go over that edge. There we go. Like that. Back to Poppy. My next red is my Scarlet Lake. Exactly the same principle. What took the time initially was work just having my colours pre-organised, and I played about for a while. When I got my first set of PrismaColour pencils, I played around for quite a while, understanding which colours were closest together, and it's worth doing that if you've only just started colouring. Yes, so my next deepest red is Crimson Red. There we go. Then I've got Crimson Lake. I'm going to take that to there. Really, really nice deep red colour. And then that very edge, I'm going to use pomegranate. Just because it's the most in shade from these two light sources here. Okay, mushroom. Toadstool rather. Right, I'm going to turn my picture back round like that, and I'm just going to make sure that you can see that. Yes, you can. I'm going to take my white gel pen, and what I'm going to do is work, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to work from left to right so I'm not smudging as I go, and I'm just going to quickly brighten up these circles, so bear with me, it won't take too long. And it just really brings them out, and as I say, that's why you don't have to worry too much when you're colouring it in. If you go over them, I would rather you go over them a little bit, as I say, and get a good blend on the colours than worry about avoiding them altogether, because you do this anyway at the end to brighten them up. And I'll show you which colours I've picked out for the stalk, and again how we colour the stalk with the light source in mind. Don't actually know what these little dots on toadstools are called. There we go. Okay. So for the stalks, I have picked myself out 3 colours. I've got peach beige, putty beige and beige sienna, and they're light to dark. So peach beige is the lightest, putty beige is the mid colour, and then beige sienna is the darkest. And I'm going to pick these up. And then what I've, you probably won't be able to see it on this one because it's a bit too small, but again, thinking about the light source from here and coming from this direction, what I want to do is make sure that I'm kind of, again, the way that we did the grass outside the door, I just want to colour in bands. So I've got my lightest colour, I've got my peach beige, and I'm just going to make like a little circular marker in a light touch, like that. And then this bit gets a firmer hand and just gets block coloured. Like that. So always thinking about the bands of light coming out like that. My mid colour is my putty beige. So again, I'm just going to kind of draw myself a little arc in a light hand there. Go over this edge lightly. And then the band in the middle gets a firmer hand. The same blending principle can be used just a million times over for totally different shapes. But as I say, these ones are in kind of circular bands because we're thinking about light. Back to my peach beige, I'm just going to go over that join And then what I'm going to do is take my darkest of the three colours, which is the beige sienna, and just lightly go over that edge there. And again, because this is furthest away from the light, it would be slightly darker, and also it's going to be sitting under the front of this mushroom, so you would expect a darker shade anyway, because it'll be in shade like that. And I know these are subtle changes, but it just tricks the eye, and when you do it over your whole picture, it really does work. Just back quickly to that putty beige, the mid colour, and just blend that away like that. Okay, one toadstool. Now we're going to finish the mushrooms. So what I'm going to use for the mushrooms is I'm going to use the three colours that I've got in my hand already, which I used for these stalks. So I've got peach beige, putty beige and beige sienna, and those are the colours that I'm going to use for the tops. And then I've got my whole set of cool greys out for these stalks. So I've got 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 and 90% cool greys out ready. We'll do the tops first, and then I'll show you what I wanted to do with the stalks. I've got slightly different colours just for underneath these mushroom tops, but let's do the tops first, and I'll show you how I've built these up. So again, three colours: peach beige, putty beige and beige sienna. There's a lot of beige going on there. So my peach beige is my lightest, and again I'm thinking about where that light source is coming from, so it's coming from underneath. And I'm just going to make sure you can see those mushrooms. Okay, you can. So again, think about where the light sources are closest to these objects that you're colouring. So clearly the light is coming from underneath, so you would kind of get a little highlight in a circle there. And again, you're using circles to shade because the light bands coming from the light sources will be arced, but also think about the shape of the object. So the mushrooms are arced as well. So the mushrooms, if you think about them in 3D, are umbrella shaped. So again, you're kind of colouring to the shape of the object. So I've just marked myself out a little line there. That just gets coloured in very easily in block. I'm going to take my mid colour, which is my putty beige. Just going to sketch myself out a little arc. Lightly go over this edge, just scumbling it a little bit. And then filling that in. Just lighter towards the edges. And these colour variations are very, very subtle, but they do look great. And you will notice the effect on your book or on your sheet. So I'm just going to back to my peach beige and quickly blend over, pressing quite firm, blending over this line. And then I go to my deepest shade, which is the beige sienna. So you can see that I'm using the darkest shade, which is furthest away from the light. Just lightly blending over that edge. And then block colouring this bit in. Like that. Back to my mid colour, which is my putty beige, and I'm just going to press hard and scumble blend that out, like that. There we go. And I'm going to very quickly repeat that process on this little mushroom. So we draw ourselves a little arc, fill it in, putty beige, go over this edge, fill it in, peach beige, blend it over, deepest colour, beige sienna, lightly go over that edge, and block colour that in. And it really is as simple as that. Quickly go back to my putty beige. And just blend that away, like that. Exactly the same for the bigger top mushroom. So again, this, I'm going to just got my peach beige. I'm just going to mark myself out lightly, a little arc like that. Block colour that in. Putty beige, and you'll get it. You'll get it by now, I know you will. Little marker over that edge. Firmer hand in between. Peach beige, blend. Beige sienna, lightly over this bit. Block colour. Quickly back to my putty beige. And just blend over. Easy. Easy peasy. So I put those three colours down. We're going to quickly do the underneath of this one, and you can see I've picked some slightly duskier rose colours for this. So quickly, I've got from light to dark, I've got rosy beige, clay rose and chestnut. Same principle. I'm just going to start from this side where the light source would be the lightest. I've got the lightest of the three colours in my hand, which is the rosy beige. Mark myself out a little line, block colour that in. My mid colour is the clay rose. Mark it out, slightly over there, colour it in. I'll go back to my lightest one, blend over. Deepest colour is chestnut, lightly over there. And then just block colour that in. And then I'm going to go quickly back to my clay rose and just blend that out like that. There we go. Dead easy. Quickly just brush that away while I've gone over slightly. There we go. Right, so I can put those three colours down as well now. And the only other thing that I wanted to show you is, I just want to check you're still in shot, and you are, is the stalks. So as I say, I've got all of my cool greys out. And what I've started to do is on this side, I've used 10 and 20% cool grey because again, the lighter the grey, so the 10%, the 20% is the lighter greys up to the 90%, which is the deeper greys. Again, thinking about that, these light sources, it's going to be coming from there. So the stalks on this side will be lighter. So this is why I've started off in 10 and 20%. And I'm just going to quickly finish those off. So I think I'm going to take my 10% and just mark myself out a little line there. Blending, exactly the same blending technique. Then I'm going to take my 20% and just make that slightly darker because it's slightly further away from the light. And I'm going to put my then I'm going to put my 10% down all together. And I'm going to start with my 20% at the bottom of this one. And the bottom of this one as well, I think. So we're now going to 30% grey, so slightly darker again to about here. And I'm just blending in exactly the same way as we did before. Then I'm going to take my 50% grey and just where the shadow would fall under the tops of these mushroom heads, just make it that slightly bit darker, like that. So I'm now going to put my 20% grey to one side, and I'm going to start with my 30% grey. Like that, in there. Now I can put that to one side. I'm going to go to my 50. Again, just thinking about where the light is and it getting darker the further you get away from it. 70%. Blending that in. And then to finish off, my 90%, which is a very dark grey colour. And just putting this bit in the deepest colour because it's furthest away from the light. Like that. And I think we'll leave it there for today. I'm going to have a think about what we want to do next. What I think I might do is, if I just move this over slightly Yes, so you can see down there. I think we might have a look at this branch and these flowers, and perhaps have a look at starting off this lantern. But we'll leave it there for today. Again, any questions, just drop me a line. Thanks guys, bye.